What's happening, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, and I'm back here with another video. Now, as always, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to drop a comment if you like, and I'll happily get back to you. Now, this video is really going to be off the cuff here, like most of my videos are, to be honest. This one here, I just thought, had a few things in my mind. Thought, let me just put it out there for my YouTube community, see what you guys' responses and comments are to it, and we'll go from there. So, this morning, looked at a tweet. Shout out to David's Corner, brilliant boxing podcaster. Follow him, follows me, has a great boxing account on Twitter. Was having a look at his tweet, and he resonated something that I've thought for a long time. Many people have thought for a long time, and let's talk about it. So, boxing as a whole, where are you guys with the sport right now, man? Because a couple of weeks ago, I dropped a video about Showtime exiting boxing, the fact that they've been in boxing for 37 years. And they're now exiting the sport. They're not just exiting boxing. They're also, there's not going to be no sort of content like that on their program anymore. So MMA, boxing in particular, will be gone. And the boxing community felt that because with Showtime being in the business for 37 years, they've provided us with so many memorable moments, man. And it feels like them leaving boxing, following the suit of HBO, who exited boxing probably, 2-3 years ago now? Maybe even 3-4 years ago. Actually, it's been a while since HBO have been around. So yeah, with Showtime and HBO gone, no longer showing boxing programming, it's indicated a change in the way how boxing is viewed now on an overall landscape. You know, like before, those were the two main broadcasters of boxing in America by far. Now, all of a sudden, like it's evolved, right? We've got apps, we've got different platforms where boxing is being shown, but the sport as a whole, on that video, I said that I felt that boxing wasn't necessarily dying because of that, because there are still other platforms around. But, you know, the tweet today resonated with me, and I'll put it up now. The tweet resonated with me because I feel that there is so much going on in boxing right now that the hardcore fan seems like they're sick to death of everything. Like, we're just so used to everything now. And it's not like anything new's going on that hasn't been going on for the last few years, but I don't know. Is boxing in a whole, is it in a good state for you in terms of where it is? And, you know, the fact that there are so many world championships out there right now, it's hard to explain to the casual fan who is the champion when there are like world champions, there are international champions, there are regular champions, there are intercontinental champions, there are, you know what I mean? There's so many belts and everything around. That's one thing, right? The whole issue around drug testing. Like, you can look at this in both ways. With the drug testing, it's good that the people that are taking the drugs are getting caught. However, the sanctions that are being applied are not consistent. You know, we don't know. There's no real method or process in place anymore. Alicia Baumgardner is an example. She tested positive back in August. We still haven't heard nothing. We're in November. She's talking about fighting other people, yet she's still got this clouding over her head. We've got Dillian Whyte, also tested positive for a fight against AJ. Just gone off the radar. Haven't heard anything. Could be serving a ban for all we know. Got no idea, right? So yeah, there's that's going on. There's the fact that with judges, like there seems to be no consistency with rounds to round scoring and how fights are judged. You know, there's the whole corruption in it. Like, I don't have no evidence or proof for this video, but you know, that word has been floating around with regards to judging, scoring fights and favoring the hometown fighter. That's always been a thing in boxing, but I feel like the mood around boxing at the moment, maybe it's because there are no major fights on the horizon right now. We do have a couple of good ones. Shakur Stevenson's in action this weekend. We've got Benavidez and Andrade fighting at the end of the month. We've got Devin Haney and Regis Prograis in December. So there are still fights to look forward to. And we have had a good year of boxing. But I'm just making this video because, for me, the passion don't seem to be there as it used to be, right? I used to be, every morning, I would wake up, I would look at the boxing news, see what's going on. But I think now there's just been so much, the boxing fans have just been through so much in terms of waiting around for fights, the frustration with regards to fights not being made. And, you know, even though we did get a lot of good fights this year, but, you know, fights not being made, just judging, the drug testing, the sanctioning bodies. There's so much to highlight and pinpoint, which I'm probably not going to be able, well, I'm definitely not going to be able to outline in all this video. But just another thing I was thinking about, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, those two met up with each other in Saudi. Not, it wasn't planned. They crossed paths, right? Met up with each other in Saudi, took a picture together. we're looking at it and we're thinking like, well, how comes we haven't seen this fight, man? This fight has been on the radar for years. These two to unify all the belts at light heavyweight. Still no closer to that fight. The WBC haven't helped that situation by saying that they will not sanction any boxers from Russia on their for their belt, and bringing politics into the game hasn't always been a good thing. But yeah, I just feel that there is so much with boxing at the moment that needs fixing, that needs like repair. I think it's just put off the casual fan. And then you've got the rise of the UFC, the MMA. That sport is growing. It's always going to be compared to boxing because it's a combat sport, but you just see the popularity in that growing and growing and growing. And you've got fan bases that are in boxing moving to MMA. What do we do as a sport? How do we fix it? We will say that it has been a good year in terms of fights. We have had a lot of good fights that we've wanted to see this year. Showtime has kind of gone out with a bang in particular. They've had a lot of good fights on their network. Spence and Crawford, we've been waiting that for years. Finally got to see it. But I just don't know. I just feel that boxing as a whole right now, where it is and what the future holds, and this might sound contradictory to my other video, but when I think about it, how do we progress this? Like British boxing as a whole, for example, where is that right now? British boxing doesn't seem to be anywhere near as popular as it used to be. Over here in Britain, football will always be the dominant sport by a country mile. There will be nothing that will even get close to football in this country. But boxing was doing very well, and that was when our fighters were doing well. AJ was very much endeared by the British public. You had the likes of Carl Froch, George Groves, that era, doing very well. Now, how many world champions do we have in the UK right now? Nowhere near as many as we did before, if any. I just is it slowly dying over here? I don't know. I just think that with maybe when Eddie Hearn left Sky Sports, that was a big thing for many people. That fit seemed to work perfectly. You had the likes of Kell Brook, like I said, Carl Froch, AJ, and so on. Those guys were being featured on Matchroom shows. They were huge events. But now I think that with that generation going and gone, we need to have a new generation coming through. And how many stars does the likes of Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have now? How many real stars can they have that they put on pay-per-view? They put a lot of fighters on pay-per-view anyway nowadays, but how many genuine, legitimate stars are there in the UK at this moment, compared to how it used to be? So, listen, I think that boxing is in need of a reform. It has been in need of a reform for a long time. The problem is we're not going to get any closer to doing it. I don't see it happening, and I just don't know how we get around it. Like it's almost like we know what boxing is, and this is it. In terms of a better standard of refereeing and judging, a better standard of having one sanctioning belt and getting rid of all these regular and intercontinental titles, having recognized champions. I think it's a collective effort which everyone needs to get involved in. But yeah, I just don't know where we are with boxing at the moment, man. And like I said, apologies if this contradicts what I said in my previous video where I said that boxing would be okay. I still think it will be, and we're probably just going through a lull in terms of periods right now with boxing. But yeah, I do think that there is a lot in need of reform here. And how does it get done? I think it'll be a collective effort from the fans, the governing bodies, the promoters, and the fighters, and everybody. We've also got the YouTube boxing that's going on right now with Misfits. They seem to be, pulling in a lot of crowds, doing their thing. I actually sat through one of the shows recently to KSI and Tommy Fury. While they are competing in boxing, it's nothing like what I'm used to watching. But, they've got their crowd. So can we take little things from what they're doing and try and implement it into our sport? And I'm not saying in any way try and replicate that method, but is there anything that we could learn from that and try and bring it onto this sport? So there's a lot, I think, that boxing needs reforming. And maybe it's a conversation I'll have with my casual mates, because they'll be the best people to ask when it comes to boxing, like they'll be the ones to ask and say, what is it that you don't like about it? Why aren't you tuning in? Is it the fact that there are not many stars anymore? Is it the fact that you just don't trust the judging on the particular big fights? What is it? Let us know. So yeah, just a quick one from me. Like I said, this video is all over the place, right? I just airing out my thoughts over a tweet that I saw this morning, and I'd love to get yours on it as well. So let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below, guys. Can this be reformed? A lot wrong with boxing, but there's a lot good with it at the same time. Like I said, we've had some great fights this year. Spence Crawford being the one that we all wanted to see. Fury and Usyk will be happening next year for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. There are still guys out there that are young, up and coming, fantastic talents. The likes of Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. There are loads of guys that are the future of the sport. So boxing will be okay. You know, I will say that, but I do think it is in need of a reform, and I do think that it is a collective effort to get that all on board. So let me know your thoughts about it anyway, guys, in the comment section below, and I'll catch you on the next video.